Kell Brook is not used to getting pushed back as a welter. He's normally on the front foot. As soon as Carson Jones started applying pressure and had Kell unable to maintain the front foot, he didn't look like the same fighter we saw previously. He was struggling, his nose was busted, and he was in a lot of trouble. I just saw the sparring against Liam Smith, and because he's not used to going backwards, he kept moving back in straight lines. Now, for you youngsters, I'm not being condescending. If you move back in straight lines and we go to the science, the quickest route between any 2 points is a straight line. So if you move back in a straight line against a naturally bigger opponent, the straight right or straight left is always there. That's how James Oyebola, a former British heavyweight, knocked out Clifton Mitchell, I believe for the vacant British heavyweight title. Mitchell was winning the fight. Then he moved back in a straight line, and James just tracked his movement. And James has got a good substantial reach. He's a big fighter, 6'6", 6'7". And he cracked him with a right straight down the pipe and knocked him out. Brook has to fix this up. Beefy Liam Smith landed some good shots too. Landed some decent shots. Rocked his head back. Brook wasn't hurt. He took the shot, but his head rocked. What impressed me was Liam walked him onto the shot on the ropes. A short chopping right. Brook normally has a stiff jab. A snappy jab. And he did use it in the sparring session, and that's probably going to be his most important punch. If he can get in and out. But can he do it? And you can see Dominic Ingle was a little concerned. I'm not saying it was a crisis for Team Brook. I'm not saying that. But the signs are not looking good. I believe the added bulk, it might look impressive. That 175 weight that he weighed in at that weigh-in where they keep an eye on your weight. I don't believe his body is getting enough time to adjust to it so he can bring that welterweight speed to the new weight. I don't believe he's getting enough time. I don't believe he's got the ring experience to carry that weight. It's not looking good. I saw a little burst of hand speed, which looked impressive. Will he get to tee off combinations like that on Golovkin? Golovkin is not going to want to let him get inside like that. He will use a stiff jab. Beefy didn't look inconvenienced in there. Another worrying thing that I saw was Kelly's going up 2 divisions. And if you're not planning to use footwork, what are you planning to do? Stand toe-to-toe and blast him out? Where's the elusiveness? No elusiveness? No footwork? He tried to be elusive with his upper body at one stage, but Liam clipped him. When John Thompson, fought Beefy for the vacant title, he had reach and length and he used it, and it was awkward for Beefy in the early rounds. I don't really see what Kell has to make it awkward for Beefy. Maybe if he landed a concussive shot and hurt Beefy, he could inconvenience him like that. But I'm talking about tactically. What does Kell have to inconvenience Triple G in terms of elusiveness? I'm not seeing no footwork. I'm not seeing much upper body movement at all. I'm not seeing a crafty counterpuncher who can set traps. I'm not really seeing that. Now, it wasn't a long sparring session, so I'm not going to get carried away. Maybe Kell dominated the rest of the sparring session. It's only a 1 minute 20 vid. Obviously, Liam is preparing for Canelo. And who knows? Maybe he is world class. So the reason Kell Brook is not being able to distinguish himself from Liam, at least in the 1 minute 20 vid I saw, is because Liam is a lot better than what I think maybe. Maybe. Kell's trying to relax in there. I see him trying to relax. And I heard Dominic Ingle saying Golovkin's opponents get preoccupied by his power, meaning they're carrying a fear factor. So they're trying to relax in there, and relaxation is important in the ring. I'm just not sure if Kell is hitting his stride in terms of that. He looks like he's caught in between styles. So if you're not scared of his power, you're telling us maybe you don't need to be elusive. At the same time, your trainer is telling you to be elusive. Come out at the sides. Don't go backward in straight lines. So from what I saw, Kell tried to be relaxed and dominate the session behind the jab. But Beefy, with the high guard, held his own and wasn't struggling to find Brook when he wanted to. Now, don't get me wrong, it was an even session. But if Kell Brook is supposed to be the heir apparent, we're supposed to be seeing more than this, surely. The way Eddie Hearn's been talking him up. when he found he couldn't tame Beefy behind a jab and sort of out-finesse him and make it easier for himself, they started winging shots up close, just training, hoping to hit something. That's just not going to work for him against Golovkin. That's just not going to work. As for Beefy, I suppose because I don't have that high an expectation from him, he looks okay. I think he can stay in there with Canelo. If he gets clipped with something big, he might have the natural size to withstand a blow where Khan couldn't. Who knows? Who knows? I don't think Beefy is a concussive puncher, which could go against him if he's going to stand in close with Canelo. But I think for while it lasts, it will be entertaining. I think it will be pretty entertaining. It's hard to see him beating Canelo. Canelo can box too. Remember, Beefy doesn't have Amir Khan's foot speed that Khan was able to utilize in the first 2 or 3 rounds. He doesn't have that. So Canelo's boxing will look a lot better. It's not like he's fighting Lara or Trout or Floyd or Cotto, who are way better boxers than Beefy. In my opinion, they're way more experienced. And they know how to navigate the ring with their feet and upper body at a level that Beefy hasn't even seen yet. Could be a good fight. I think Beefy is a little more clever than what a lot of the boxing public are probably believing. Joe Gallagher's making it simple for Beefy. High guard, stiff jab, and throw power shots when in range. Like I said, before you guys start saying, oh, you only saw a bit of a sparring session, you're saying, no. I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that. So if you start all that there, I'll block your comment. I will block it. I will block it. Yeah? So it was only a short session, but one thing Beefy has to look out for, I didn't see Kell really go to the body, but if he's got a high guard and he's not going to be elusive, he's got that cut the gloves up on the face thing. You know, that's something like Golovkin would exploit. Remember what he did to Macklin when Macklin tried to make his gloves into earmuffs on the ropes. Bang, to the body. And Canelo would exploit it too. He can hit to the body too. So, Gallagher covering bases there, I don't know. Neither man has swift feet, Brook or Beefy. And they're fighting big punches. So we'll see how they get on. Truthfully, after seeing the sparring session, I would prefer to see Kell versus Liam Smith. Matchroom against Queensbury, Sky Sports versus Box Nation. I prefer to see that. I'd prefer to see that fight. I believe that fight would be way more competitive than Triple G versus Brook. But Method Man said it best when he said cash rules everything around me. So there's no way they're going to opt for the Smith fight before this big bumper payout. I should imagine Smith himself is going to do well out of the Canelo deal himself, you know. First major payday. In fact, I can't remember the last time a Frank Warren fighter has been in a lucrative fight such as this on pay-per-view. Now, we don't want to blow Golovkin up too much and make him sound like, you know, the untouchable monster, but going up 2 divisions is not an enviable task by any means. And no, they don't want to go in there with this massive preoccupation about his power. Of course not. But trying to just tell yourself that the power isn't a threat isn't enough, you know. It's almost like, you know, I know some of my homeboys back in the day who lost their flats, their council flats, because they spent their money and they tried to be defiant and not acknowledge the golden rule. If you don't pay your rent, you get evicted. It's not scientific, is it? We need to see, well, we don't need to see, but as long as Ingle and Brook do have some defensive provision or contingency there, then okay, they'll shut me up on the night. But I'm not convinced they have that. I don't know how good Golovkin is. He's pretty good. We do know that. And we can only go by what we see. So you guys can say, oh, you don't know nothing. I haven't saw more of the sparring session. Well, neither of you. So why are you commenting at all? We can only go by what we see. And at the moment, Triple G, he hasn't, I don't know if he's faced concussive hitters, Lemieux, Stevens, not bad, but we don't know what he would do if he faced a gargantuan puncher or someone who had similar power to him. We don't know how his chin would react. At the moment, we have to say, at this stage of his competition, he doesn't look chinny. So that don't look like an option right now. When we're strategizing or talking about how you would strategize to fight the guy. That doesn't look like an option right now. Elusive skills, at this moment, it looks like that would have to be on the table. Hand speed, boxing brain, yeah. Boxing fans are not stupid. another of the networks. This is why they're so adamant to place this boring argument on fights they know would be difficult. That's why they're so adamant. I mean, this is the only sport I know where, so what if you're ultra defensive? If you're elite, then this is the guy you have to beat. You can't just ignore fights. Imagine if we was looking at league table premiership football and we was just started ignoring games because it's not important to play them. For whatever reason, it would just be absolutely maddening. Erislandy Lara, the Cuban, believes he knows how to beat Triple G. I don't think he can beat him, personally. But I believe in his skills. But I believe Triple G is a lot better than what he's showing us in terms of the opposition he's fighting. So I think he'd beat Lara. But it doesn't mean that the fight shouldn't happen just because I believe it. The fight should happen. He has attributes to give this guy a proper contest, which he's just not getting right now. He's just not getting. I do hope Brook can do well. I do. But I was watching Golovkin today, clowning about in training. He put somebody in a hand grip. And the guy looked like he was in genuine discomfort. You know, he's a strong guy, Triple G. He's got big, strong looking forearms. And forearm strength can sway the difference in certain arm actions that the arms have to use in sports, like pushing, arm wrestling, punching, throwing, forearm strength. And he has it. I know a Spanish guy. He's an old guy now, but in his prime, you try and arm wrestle this guy, he had massive forearms. You could barely move his arm. He told me once that he arm wrestled Teofilo Stevenson and drew with him. Nobody could get the better of it. And I believe him, because he goes over Cuba quite a lot. I believe him. So Triple G isn't no joke. If Kell Brook pulls this off, serve me my crow, and I'll eat it right in front of you guys. No problem at all.